Good morning, everybody. It's Peter here from AJS, also representing our sister company in New Zealand, G&A Warburtons. And once again, we're taking you into a jeweller's workshop somewhere in Australasia. And this week we're heading right across the continent to sunny Geraldton and the even sunnier Penny Layton. Welcome, Penny.
Hello, thank you for having me back.
Penny, it's great to have you back and always got good information to share. And this week we've got the theme is making a wishbone ring.
Yeah.
So would you like to define what a wishbone ring is for us?
Wishbone ring can be used in many different designs, but and I've got quite a few that I've just made earlier. So it's just a little ring that has a little bend in the front, a little peak, I guess.
Sort of looks like a wishbone, really, doesn't it?
That's right. Yeah. So that one's got like a really quite big V. And these are all just going to be real personal. And I encourage anybody that's going to make any of these to just play with them and experiment and see what you can and you can't do with that V. And there is a little bit of guesstimate in how big to make the V. So it is a trial and error type sort of situation. But what you can do with the little ring is, so this one I just made with a little stone in the front, and then you can put them together. So this is way too big for that little wishbone, but just so that you can get the idea. So if you had a teardrop stone, that would fit a little nicer into there.
Okay, so is that the main reason for making a wishbone ring, is so you can fit it with another ring, or?
I think that's one of the most predominant reasons, but it can be a little ring that can be worn by itself.
Okay.
And you could potentially set stones in there as well. So I think you'll find maybe engagement rings, and you could use this as the engagement ring, or the engagement ring would have like a simple stone, and then that would be something else that you could marry up beside it. And make a nice set with your engagement, wedding, eternity. There's so many reasons why we buy rings in that world. The push ring for having a baby, they go on and on. Women are very clever at coming up with reasons to buy things.
The push ring. Oh, gee, for having a baby.
Yes. I know. I hadn't heard of it when I first heard it either, but yeah.
So I've heard of the three rings, I think, of a relationship. It was the engagement ring, the wedding ring, and then the suffer ring. But
I like it.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I'm going to get in trouble, I'm sure. Anyway. Okay, so where do we start then, Penny?
So today I'm just using brass for the demonstrations, but everything is the same. And you use half round. And again, it's entirely up to you what profile of a half round that you want to use. Today, I've written it down. My metal of the half round is about 1.3 and about 2.4 in width. So you would just cut yourself a length of your half round, keeping in mind, like I sort of said, this is a bit of a guesstimate when you're trying to make your ring size. Especially, I'm going to show you two different ways. So maybe we'll go with the first way, being a little bit easier to get an accurate ring size. So I'm going to choose the longer piece that I've just cut, and you would find the middle, and I'm going to put my other eyes on as well. Find the middle.
So Penny, that's just out of shot. I don't know if you can adjust that a little bit. Can you see that?
Oh, I need to change my eyes. Find halfway.
Right.
That's about 7.
So I'm looking at you from the camera in front of you.
Let me just measure this, and then I'll
You're right.
3.5. There we go. So I've just put a little mark at 3.5 because this is 7 centimeters. Then using my jeweler's saw, the flat or the piece of metal, the flat part of the half round is on my bench, and I'm cutting into the half round at the halfway point. And this may be longer than what I need, but let's just start there. I've also annealed this metal as well. You might want to use some parallel pliers, the lock-in type, to hold it onto your metal as well. Now I've just really sawn about 1/3 of the way in. Then using my needle files, I'm choosing a triangle. You could use a square if you wanted to. Depends on the type of how far you want to file into to make the V. My metal keeps twisting on me. For me, I found the triangle file works the best, and I'm going to keep filing down till I'm about 2/3 of the way through.
Okay.
And I want to just keep checking that I'm filing evenly, that my triangle's not a bit lopsided, or I'm filing too far to the front and not to the back. So you might want to turn it to make sure that you're getting a nice even depth.
So Penny, what size ring is this one going to be?
Oh, I haven't worked that out.
Okay.
I've just cut a random length, and then what I might do is once I've got it into the length, I'll go through how to work out the size that I want to make.
Okay.
So just a little bit further. You've got to be really careful because you don't want to go too far, because when you bend it, it'll break in half. So I'm going to stop right there. So there's about 1/3 of the metal left at the top and at the back. And then all I'm going to do is just simply bend those around. And so now I've made a little...
Just up to the other camera.
This one?
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. That was easy for me. That was making my brain hurt. I was like, I can't make that work. So yeah, you can see that little file that I've done has brought those in quite neat. Yeah. So then what I would do is solder that. So I would solder it with the flat piece facing up, and flux one small piece of solder right in the little V, heat it all up, let it flow, pick it, and then get it out. And this is one that I soldered earlier today.
Beautiful.
And because I'm using brass, the silver solder is standing out quite a bit.
Yeah.
And now I've done a little bit of modification to my pliers. So it'll be really hard to see on the camera. But what I've done is, I think I again used the triangle, and right up close to the box, I think that's what they call it, right up to the edge here. This filing into my pliers here is not going to damage or influence anything that I might be using out here. So I've just filed a little groove and following, these are, one jaw is half round and one is flat.
Okay.
And with the half round, you want to file all the way around. Once you've done one side, you want to work out where that is and file into the other side so that those grooves match up. And again, then I just fold in there. And the reason I've done that is I'm going to stand the half round in those two grooves, and that'll stop it from rolling or falling in the pliers.
Okay.
Because I'm going to do, every time I do this, it makes me think of Wonder Woman. I'll show you in a minute. And I want to put the half round underneath. Right up against that little V that you did. And bend, maybe go on the other side. I rearranged one on my bench.
So we're going about making the circle now.
I'm just making although I'm not doing a very good job of this one. Really shallow. The one I practiced on for the demo, of course, worked like a dream.
Perfect.
And I've got a very, very shallow, I may have needed to move out a little further. Not a very good demonstration for you there. Because I've got quite a big sort of wonky bit right there. But what I'm trying to do is get that, so the straight parts, let me see if I can draw it rather than using my fingers.
Okay.
To look like that.
Yep.
So I'm trying to get with my pliers that little bend right there. And I've only managed to get like a really tiny one today. Like I said, when I did this the other day, it went like a dream.
So how easy to maneuver is that brass at the moment?
Because I've annealed it, it's really quite easy.
Right.
One side is not cooperating with me today.
So So while you're doing that, Penny, I'll just invite our viewers, if there's any comments or questions, if anyone else has attempted this and they've had similar issues, or they've obviously done theirs in the privacy of their own little workshop, and you're doing yours publicly on Facebook.
Once you've got your V to how you want it, you need to get the arms down straight. Then you would, this is when you can work out the size that you want to make. Once you've got everything straight. I don't know where I've been hitting this now, it's getting hard. So if I was wanting to make, let's see, a size 6. And I'm sorry, I learned in America, so I use all the numbers, not the letters. But either way, the inside diameter would be 16.5. That's that will work out what size we need. Oh, my phone is a camera. I was just looking for my phone to use the calculator. It's in a tripod. So once I have my inside diameter of the ring that I want to make, you add the metal thickness, and in this case it's 1.3, then hit equals in your calculator, multiply that by 3.14, and that number, whatever that length is, would be the length of metal that we need to make the ring. Then you could measure that out, keeping your little V right in the middle, cut off to the right length, and then you can start with your mandrel, have the V in the middle, and simply bend them around. I haven't cut mine. But you could, my mandrel has ring sizes on it, so I could easily just bend this around to the right size, and then come back here with my, take this off the mandrel, mark where I needed the right size and cut those pieces off, and then work them backwards and forwards, solder them, and then you would have your ring. Once you've soldered it, you might want to come back through little taps to get it all nice and round, and at the back as well. And then you would have your finished ring. So because I sort of struggled a bit with that one, there is a tiny little V in that one.
Okay. As opposed to that other one you showed us earlier, which...
Yeah, and so this is the one that I did as a practice version in the same method. But without the pressure of everybody watching me. A much nicer looking ring. So the other method that you can do is the same sort of idea. Work out the ring size that you want to make. So say for instance I needed this particular ring or piece that I've cut here. Say this was exactly the right length, 6 centimeters. What you need to add in to compensate for the little V, if you want a shallow V, about 7 millimeters. If you want a deeper V, 8 to 9 millimeters. But you just want to play with that. That's why I'm sort of saying you want to experiment with these rings. That's not, and I mean, my shallow and my deeper V might be entirely different to someone else's definition of shallow and deeper. Yeah. So it is a bit of an experiment. So what I'm going to do this time is with my, again, I might like to just find middle so that I'm trying to work as accurately as I can. So 6, 3, put a little mark underneath. Because this time I'm going to have the half round laying on my mandrel. I've got my little halfway mark. I'm just going to slowly bend those arms around, or the ends. I'm trying to keep that in the middle. So I've made like a little U-shaped. Now this time I'm going to use my half round needle file. It's one of my favorites. I just have walked the arms out a little bit. I've got a little V in my bench peg, and I'm just going to file some of that half round off. There's loads and loads of different ways to make these wishbone rings. This was just 2 versions that I like. So again, I'm just on an angle, filing till I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I've tapered that up.
Yeah, we can see that.
Yep. Yep. So now I'm going to do the other side. Then I'm just going to walk these 2 in and push them towards one another. Check out if they're nice and flush. I might just file just a little bit more. Just trying to get the top bit to be quite the 2 pieces to meet quite flush, yeah, and make quite a point at the top. Trying to file both sides the same, as close as possible. Once I've got them in that kind of manner, they're both touching quite flush. This side could probably come in just a little bit closer. Maybe a little tap. And the half round is on the inside for this ring. Okay. So I've got that. Yep. Then you would just flux, lay that down on a solder brick, a little bit of solder, heat up the base, let the solder flow. Having something, I did 2 this morning. I was experimenting to see what would it be like if I had the half round on the outside. I'm going to demonstrate the one with the half round on the inside, because I know that definitely works and I know what that looked like. Yeah. So this one's all soldered. So at this point, I might do just a little bit of a tidy up on that point. the V of the ring.
So how do the two rings feel to wear, with the round on the inside or the outside?
I mean, I quite like the round on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, normally you would have the flat on the inside. So
Yeah.
I think it would, either way would be comfortable.
Okay.
I've got some nylon jaw flat pliers. These ones have got really nice ergonomical handles, and they're nice and long. So now this is where it kind of gets, keeping in mind what sort of size ring you were trying to make using this version. You might pop it on to your mandrel down to the ring size that you were trying to make, and then you might use a little outline pen to sort of make a little mark. And you know that you obviously don't want to bend, you wouldn't come the other side of those marks because it'll make it too small. So I'm going to come on the top side of those marks and just bend it down.
Beautiful.
So then you might want to just pop it onto the mandrel again, because you can see it's sticking up quite high. I'll tap, tap. I do like the other version because the V can be a little bit more subtle and not quite maybe as pointy as this one is.
Okay.
But I guess it depends on what you're maybe butting up against the wishbone ring. Maybe you need this point to fit the stone, or that's just the look that you like.
Yeah.
And then you would maybe just go in and do any tidying up that you might need to. The little bit of filing that I did before I made the wishbone at the front, there's not too much really more that I need to do there. So then you just have like quite a nice little kind of twist of the half round as well. So that, I guess that's the part that I like of this version. So now let's try this one here that I did the half round on the outside and see what it looks like.
Okay.
I'm just going to file that end a little bit. And you can kind of tell where you were aiming for your ring size, if you wanted to just be crazy and just bend it, or if you wanted to be more meticulous and put it onto the ring mandrel and make sure you get the right size.
So what's that hammering doing to the round surface on the outside?
No, it's quite okay. Like,
yeah.
I hammer on the half round, on the rounded side of the half round all the time, because I use half round. I mean, you obviously have to be a little bit careful so that you're aware of that profile, and definitely a rawhide hammer or a nylon hammer would be best suggested.
Yeah.
So that's with the half on the outside, the half round on the outside.
Okay.
I think I prefer the other way, but you know, whatever works for you.
So when people buy these rings, they buy them as simply as just a little silver ring, just in that shape?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
I guess the disadvantage to the first one that I was trying to demonstrate You will have 2 solder joins. So that's just something to keep in mind. So you're going to have a solder join at the front and a solder join at the back. So advantages, if you ever need to make that ring bigger, you can cut into the solder join and add your little piece in. And same for if you needed to make it smaller, the solder join is there, cut into it to make it smaller, remove the metal that you need. The other one, obviously you can still resize, but I mean, for me, I always try to have as little solder joins as I can, so that I'm not, you want less solder joins to make it easier to do things. You know, if you're heating stuff up and you've got a solder join there, it's just something that you have to be aware of and be careful of, that they don't open up when you're heating them up.
Penny, can we get a little bit more of your face in that camera?
I think where I was hammering, I caused it to fall. There we go.
There you go. You look like a real tradie. Yeah. No, that's
so that's kind of basically the Wishbone Ring. They're just 2 versions to make them. There's loads more out there. If you start Googling videos of Wishbone rings, there'll be tons out there. So these ones, if they aren't for you, I'm sure that there's another one out there that you can find that might work. These 2, even though I struggled with the first one, are normally the 2 easiest ones that I would go to make a Wishbone ring.
No, that's great, Penny. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge there, and I'm sure you've inspired people to give it a crack for themselves. So
this one I play with. I really do encourage people to just play with it and see what kind of different V depth that you can get out of that to make the Wishbone. And
in the end, you end up with a very elegant little ring, don't you?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And I mean, I've played with brass today. Copper is another way to play with experimenting, so that you're not using your silver if you're not confident in making the ring. Play with those base metals. That way, then we're not wasting silver. I mean, and I sell copper and brass rings as well, so the public quite like those.
Okay. Yeah. So, well done, Penny. Well, thank you very much for coming on board again today, and we'll look forward to seeing you and our viewers sometime again real soon.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me.